Hi everyone, my name is Prisha. I'm in a very similar position to Aisha in that I also study medicine at UCL and I'm also in my fourth year of study. Originally, I'm from London, the Barnet Borough, so not very far from UCL campus. So before UCL, I was at a school called the Henrietta Barnett School, which is located in Golders Green. My A-level subjects were biology, chemistry, maths, and geography up until AS. And then I dropped geography because I wasn't enjoying it as much. In terms of my extracurricular activities that I did at school, I set up a sign language club. I also volunteered for 6 months at my local hospital, and just this was dispersed work experience as well throughout my years at sixth form. So very much in line with the medical admissions process, I think. So in terms of how I actually decided on my course, so I really enjoy talking to people. I'm quite a chatty person and I enjoy face-to-face interactions. So COVID was actually pretty difficult for me. But yeah, medicine offers that. You get to talk to patients all day, every day, and that I find a lot of fun. I also love problem solving, and medicine is definitely involves that element. So you take your blood tests, your x-rays, your scans, and you have to put everything together, your patient's history, and need to figure out sort of what the illness or underlying disease is. And I quite enjoy that. And lastly, I am quite a person who likes to plan and know what's going on. And doing a vocational degree like medicine really fits well with me because after medicine, the natural progression is to then go into the NHS and work as a doctor. So I enjoy that part of a vocational degree. I was actually considering law as well, pretty much for the same reasons. So yeah, but I loved biology, and so that's where I decided to do medicine. In terms of barriers to higher education, I was the first medic in my family. So in terms of the application process itself, I didn't have a lot of information at all. The second sort of barrier that I faced was imposter syndrome, huge imposter syndrome. My school was an all-girls grammar school, so in terms of the environment, it was everyone was academically quite high achievers. And I remember my sixth form teacher, I was struggling at A level in terms of studying and trying to find the right methods. And my sixth form teacher, she said, "Oh, if you can't hack A levels, how can you hack medicine?" But I'm in medicine, so it worked out for the best. But that feedback from a teacher does give you lots of confidence issues in terms of applying for medicine. So for a while I did think, is medicine the right route for me? My last barrier I would say is just, it's a huge academic commitment and a financial commitment as well, going to university. Especially since you decide at quite a young age. People make their career choices at 16, 17, which I think is quite young. And it can be difficult to know whether you are making the right choice and whether those years spent in higher education is the right path for you, if that makes sense. So I will go over how I overcame these barriers in my experience. So the first one, which was being the first medic in my family and having no guidance at all with the process. So I did try to seek out family and friends who might be able to guide me in the right direction. My dad actually had an orthopedic appointment, and so I asked his doctor if I could have some work experience. And the doctor gave me some. So it was pretty much taking any opportunity that came my way and taking advantage of that. So that's how I tackled that issue. In terms of the imposter syndrome and sort of feedback from teachers, I just decided to ignore the negatives and focusing more on the positives. I think with UCAS application, the best thing you can do is to just give it a go. And you've got so many backup plans. If things don't go your way, you can take gap years, you can apply for other courses, the clearing scheme after A-level results day. So I think just keeping your head down, knowing your goal, and if things don't go the way you want them to, there are always other alternatives. And I think I slowly recognized that with the help of my friends and my family as well. And finally, about committing to an academic course, I think the important thing is to try and get as much exposure and opportunity you can in regards to your course in the field you are interested in. That gives you a huge insight into whether you are making the right decision for you. The medical application process does make it easy for us in a sense that we do have to get that exposure before we apply to medicine. But I know it's not compulsory for other fields, but I think just emailing people or using parents' contacts to try and get some work experience, they're all valuable things. Or even turning up to university open days and asking students in the course you're interested in what they do, what their classes are like, what their schedule's like. They can all give you a good insight into what you're applying to. In terms of my UCL experience at medicine, like Aisha, I very much enjoy my experience. So the first 2 years were preclinical, which were very much lecture-based, and now we are in our clinical years. I love talking to patients and hearing their life stories. Everyone has a very different journey coming into the hospital, and it's always very interesting to chat to patients about that. In terms of skills I've learned and developed, I have really enhanced my communication skills. I know how to talk to patients, how to make them comfortable, which I think is a very valuable skill to gain. And also just flexibility in medicine, I think, is a huge thing, or in any course actually. You're constantly adapting to a different lifestyle, a different way of learning, different timetables. Sometimes things don't go the way you want them to, and just having flexibility and some adaptability to that, I think, is a very key thing to have. In terms of accessing UCL, so I do live at home in Barnet currently. I lived out in my second year purely for the experience, because I knew if I stayed at home I wouldn't learn how to cook or do the laundry. So it was very much me pushing myself to try and learn those key life skills in second year. In terms of support from UCL, like Aisha touched on, the personal tutor scheme, transition mentor schemes are all fantastic. And just opportunities to do things like this and record our student journeys so we can help other future students, I think is pretty amazing, and I very much enjoy doing it. My favorite thing about studying at UCL, I think it has to be the location. You cannot get a better location than Bloomsbury. You've got Oxford Street, you've got Covent Garden, you've got the British Library. There is so much to do around UCL and on campus as well. So I think that's got to be my favorite thing, as well as all the societies UCL has to offer. If you have an interest, I'm sure you're going to find your group of people in one society or another. It's pretty fantastic. And in terms of my future plans, as I touched on before, it's a vocational course, so I think I will become a junior doctor by the end and hopefully then specialize ahead. In terms of if I could give my year 12 self advice, I would say something like a little and often goes a very long way. In GCSEs, you could get away with a bit of cramming, I think, before your exams, but A-level, I would advise against doing that. So just doing a little bit every day will save your future self a lot of hassle. So yeah, just do a little bit of revision every day. But it's important to take some days off as well, so please do that as well. My second piece of advice would be to take the time to explore the fields you're interested in. Don't go in with a perspective that you've got in your head without actually trying to experience the field or reading around it or doing work experience, volunteering, or talking to students in that field. I think that would be a very key thing to help make your UCAS decision on. And my third advice is sort of similar to this, is to try and see if you can speak to students at university. and also on the course that you want to study. And going back again to open days or summer schools or master classes, taster courses, universities do a lot to try and engage students. So just keep a lookout for all these opportunities as they present themselves. And yeah, I think it really helps to make an informed decision about what you want to study at university. But even if you don't worry, there's always ways to change your course as well once you do apply. So yeah, there's always a backup plan if things don't go the way you want them to. But yeah, all the best with your studies.